Welcome back to the Michael Maher Show. Today is Tuesday, July 26, 2022. This is episode 84. I'm joined by GT, Gerald Tucker, former professional boxer. He retired undefeated at 7-0. Current trainer for Floyd Mayweather, Claressa Shields, Adrien Broner, and Tyron Woodley. Part of the 1996 Olympic team. You won a dozen national titles in the junior featherweight division, turned pro in 2000. But just from the jump, like, how did you get started in the sport of boxing?
I was playing baseball, Little League baseball, maybe like ages 11 through 14. I was pretty good. A couple of years, I think I got Defensive Player of the Year. But my grades were slipping. I wasn't really doing well in school. I grew up like in the real urban, the worst part of my city, basically. And so part of my attention was in the streets. And so my grades were dropping. And my mom kicked me off the baseball team. So in between baseball and boxing, there's a guy named Ricardo Williams Jr. who was a great amateur boxer at the time. He was the greatest in the world. He was like 100 and maybe 20-something wins with only 2 losses. And he won everything he ever entered. He never lost a tournament. And he was just a great fighter. And he lived right up the street from me in the hood and in our project. And one day, just being kids, playing around, he had me as company to his house, and I walked in the living room. I'm like, wow, he had plaques on the wall, medals everywhere, trophies everywhere, belts hanging up on the wall. And I mean, the whole living room was his accomplishments. Mm-hmm. I was like, man, I just got 2 little baseball trophies about the size of an iPhone. So I was like, man, I need to do what this guy do, man. I want a room, or, I want my whole room look like this, or my mom's living room to look like that. So I started sneaking to the gym with him. Since I had extra time, I was kicked off the baseball team. I started sneaking to the gym with him, and I got real good, real fast. And of course, by getting my butt kicked by him, gave me great amateur experience. And so I started bringing my grades up so that I could ask my mom if it was okay if I start the sport. So I brought my grades up, and I asked my mom. I said, it's this sport I've been doing, boxing. And my buddy, Little Rick is what we called him. She knew him as Little Ricky. And I said, he boxes, and I want to start going to the gym. I've been going to the gym with him, Mom, and is it okay if I continue, if I keep my grades up? She's like, yeah, you can go ahead. And within 4 months of me beginning to box, I was ranked number 2 in the United States.
Early 2000s, you were part of the Olympic team with Floyd. You retired in 2001, but you returned to the ring 15 years later in 2016. How did you, to bring us through, how did you prepare yourself to get back into the sport? And what were some challenges you overcame through training during those 15 years to come back?
Well, to get back to sport, in 2001, I stopped the day before my fight. You weigh in the day before your fight. Before I was about to get on the scale, my dad had called me and asked me, was I sitting down? I said, yeah, I'm sitting down. And because I was waiting for him to call my name so I can go weigh in and then go eat, go to sleep and fight. And he's like, are you sitting down? I said, yeah, I'm sitting down. And he said, your brother was killed. So I'm like, oh my God, what? So I was thinking go straight home, be with the family to mourn, and so I got off the phone with my dad, and they called my name because they called my name. So I jump up on the scale, I make my weight, and me and Roger have to decide if I'm going to fight or not. That was my trainer at the time. Rest in peace to Roger. And he was like, what would your brother want you to do in this situation? Would he want you to fight, or would he want you to go home? Just do whatever your brother would want you to do. He would want me to fight and win. I was on, I had knocked the last guy I fought a couple weeks prior to this. I had knocked him out in the first round. I dropped him 3 times. And with the pull counter that Floyd does a lot. And so I fought the guy. I dropped him 3 times with the pull counter. So I was 2 knockouts in a row, first round knockouts. But I went straight home like Roger told me to do, to go more and be with the family. And I stopped boxing. That was the last day of boxing for me. And I couldn't even walk into a gym for the next six years, I believe, went past without me even walking into a boxing gym. Because I knew I had so much potential, and I wasn't ready to get back into the sport. There was a lot of stuff going on, but my brother passing was a lot on me and my family. And so in 2007 is when I went back to Vegas. Like, you know what? Let me give this one more shot. Get boxing a try. I'm too good. Got too much talent. And Floyd and Zab Judah, they were just getting ready to gear up for their fight. So they were showing, every week they were showing a 24/7 episode of them preparing for the fight. And it was getting me hyped up, real hyped up. And I told my fiance at the time, and I had 2 kids with her, and I raised 2 other kids as my own. I said, you want to, you and the kids move to Vegas? And she's like, what? I'm like, you want to go move to Vegas and so I can give boxing a try? And she was like, after some thought, she was like, yeah, let's do it. And I booked flights that day. And I booked the moving stuff, and so we can move and ship the cars and everything. And we left, and within a matter of weeks, so that I can go chase my boxing dreams. But when you got kids and you're not like with a promotional company or a manager, and you're doing everything on your own, it's like kind of hard to get into the sport how you want to, or how you were before, because before I was signed to Floyd and James Prince. They were my managers, co-managers, and they were going to take me straight to a network. We weren't going to sign with any promotion. We were going to go straight to HBO. That's who was big back then, and do a deal straight through them. But so they were taking care of all my bills, and I didn't have anything to pay but a cell phone bill. So, but now, much older, so I think I was 28 at the time. And so I had to come up with my own bill money, all that kind of got to take care of my family, provide food and roof and all that type of stuff. So it was a little harder to get back. I couldn't just jump straight back into it like I thought. And so I kind of like got sidetracked and was working more than I was training. And so the return of boxing didn't happen until Adrien Broner asked me if I would come back to boxing and stop, because I had started training a little bit, and he was like, you should stop training and just come back into the sport. And that's when I came back and made those 2 extra fights onto my record, and I ended up going 7-0 with 3 knockouts, and I retired after that for good. But that was 15 years later.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I'm really sorry to hear about your brother, man. My condolences.
I appreciate it.
And no doubt you've made him happy with everything you've done in the sport and all of, just everything you've overcome. And, I'm very sorry to hear about that. So when you were training with those guys and you were training with Adrien Broner, did you kind of have that itch to get back into the sport and to compete?
Yeah, I get the itch a lot, like, especially when I'm in camp with AB, because sometimes he's a little stubborn about small things like what he shouldn't eat or what he should eat and stuff like that. And I'm in shape because we work so hard. I run with my fighters, so I get in shape. I start getting smaller. I start feeling like a fighter, and I want to take it out on him. So the other day there's a little clip on our Instagram that I put his sparring gear on, and I jumped in the ring. I was about to whip his ass. So every now and then I get the itch for sure, but it usually comes like when we get close to fight time, because I would rather jump in the fight for my fighters, because I know when you had all this experience and you're older as I am, I'm 1 year under Floyd, so I'll be 44 this year in October. So I got so much experience that I really want to get in there and fight the fight for them, because sometimes I see them, the nerves racing, or I see them having trouble making weight and sitting in the sauna. I'm like, this is nothing. Like, let's sit in the sauna for an hour. This is nothing. I want to do it for them. So that's when I get the itch when it gets close to fight time.
Yeah. So as a coach for these like top level boxers, kind of how do you keep them level headed going into the fight? Like if they do get real nervous the week before or cutting weight, like how do you keep them dialed in?
Just letting them know that it's easy, and just pointing fast forwarding to the goal, and the goal is, your hand raised after the fight, and then you celebrating, and everybody's happy in the locker room. Just keep bringing it up the goal, and fast forward and past all the hard stuff, because once you get through it, time flies. So, it's just hard for a little moment. It feels like forever, but it's really not. Time really flies, just like right now, we were just 7 weeks out, and now we're like 3.5, before fight time. So it goes just like that. And, it's going to feel like a week, and then it's going to be fight week. So I just fast forward to the end, and then I just keep letting them know about the end. We don't really talk about the today. We just work as hard as we can in each training session, each run. And then, the days go like this. then so I just talk about the end game. It's a lonely sport, and it's not just a saying. It might, sound cliche because so many people say it, and heard so many big people say it, but it really is. And it's good to have some, a workout partner, a dope ass trainer, somebody that's done it, and that's doing it with you, that can and that can make you laugh when times are serious. But when we're serious in the gym, we're serious in the gym. I haven't really posted like the serious times, but it's really serious in there. Especially around fight time. We get a little quiet, we get more in our heads and stuff like that. But so the stuff you see where we having a good time and stuff like that is just like brief moments, real quick, where I take out the phone, and because I don't have my phone at all. My phone stay in my bag. I'm not one of those trainers. I don't miss 1 second of one station that my fight. They could be on a speed bag. I'm not gonna miss 1 second, even though they don't need me to be there. But it's just the professionalism that I hold myself up to.
So how would you describe to like my audience, like listening or watching, how would you describe your coaching style? Like, does it vary depending on the fighter, or do you kind of always try to have the same attitude and work regimen?
Well, it's pretty much the same, but sometimes you have to work around a fighter because they might not be comfortable. Like, I like to work straight through, no rest. So let's say the typical training day for a boxer would be like you shadow box 3 rounds or something like that. Then you might spar, say 10 rounds, then you jump out, you hit the bag for about 5-6 rounds. You go jump some rope, hit the speed bag or whatever, do some sit-ups, push-ups, and stretch out. Now, me, I like to do straight through. This is the way Roger trained me and Floyd. And so by straight through, I mean, you come in, you stretch in, do a couple exercises, loosen up the muscles, then you stretch, then you shadow box. And when we doing things, we're going straight through. We're not doing rounds. So we call them stations. So the shadow boxing, you're going to do that for 10 minutes or, more. It depends on, what part of camp you're in. So say beginning of camp, you shadow box, or middle of camp, you shadow box for 10 minutes. No break, no water until the 10 minutes is over. Then you get a sip of water. You go straight to the next station, which may be, say, the mitts. You're on the mitts for, say, 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes straight. You're not taking no breaks at all. And you go straight you get a sip of water, go straight to the bag, 15, 20 minutes. Then you go straight to the rope, 15, 20 minutes. You go to speed bag, double in bag. So some fighters, you have to build their conditioning up to be able to do something, because that's crazy training, and it's hard on the mental and the spiritual to do something that you're not used to like that, because you're so used to working 3 minutes and then getting a whole minute off for a whole 30 seconds to chill. But with me, we're going shadow boxing, sip of water, get there. You don't even get, it's not no 30 seconds. You get maybe 10. It's 10 count, boom, time to go. Same thing. So you're not resting at all. It's nonstop work. But, when we do it successfully, you can box for 20 rounds straight. Your 12th round can look just like your first round. But so my training style, besides the way we work, I teach to the hit and not get hit. Literally, like I'm more defensive than offensive, but we're definitely going to be offensive because the way we work, we throwing so many punches around and we're going straight through, no rest. So with the work, you're getting the punch output, you're getting the offensive work, but the defense is my number one priority in the sport. So I'm teaching. I want my fighters to always be defensive minded, even when they're got somebody hurt and they about to knock them out, still remember that they can throw a punch. So always be, cautious of what can come, from your opponent, right, left. They got 2 hands, so always be ready for those 2 hands to come. But that's what I lean towards, more defense than offense.
So through the different phases,
based on the longevity of the fighter, because I really care about my fighters. I'm one of those coaches that care about their. I'm not like one of those like I'm breeding pit bulls and I'm just throwing them out there. And I don't care if they get bit up and they die and I'll move on to the next fighter. No, I really care. My fighters are like family. If something happened to them, I'm gonna be hurt. Their mothers, their wives, their husbands, whoever, their whole family, they can trust me with their fight. They can know that he's going to make the right decisions in camp and fight about their child, husband, wife, whatever, whoever the fighter is to them, they can know in their heart that their best interest is in my hand.
And I think that shows on your social media, the way you're talking about them now, and ultimately like in the results in the ring, like the connection that you build with them, and like how important it is, how important they are to you, like a family relationship. So what would you say for a fight camp, like the different phases that you go through? Do you set checkpoints for your athletes before ramping it up, or like do you have baseline numbers that you want to see?
Yeah, for sure. And it's nothing that I can like pinpoint to you right now, but I watch everything. I keep everything in mind. I mean, injuries, soreness, things being tight, stuff that happens outside the ring, how much time we got left, what the fighter needs to sacrifice. I keep everything in mind, and I put that into the whole equation to getting the best out of them each step of the way through camp. From the beginning, before camp, first week, in the middle of the camp, all the way to the end. I'm pushing them, hard enough to where they're not going to get injured, but they're going to be able to perform as best as they could come fight night if they listen. If they do everything that's told. Because I know how they want to look in the ring. I fought, so I know how it goes, and you want to look your best. And in order to be your best, you got to work hard. You got to work so hard. You got to push yourself past every limit you thought you had, and then, push it past that, before you get to injury. But yeah, I keep all that stuff in mind. And but there's nothing I could tell you like, specifically that that I do. But yeah. I keep everything in mind, and I got certain points that I need them to be at, like as far as mileage on the runs and minutes on the stations and rounds if they do rounds, and yeah, for sure.
And you started out boxing in the Midwest, and you grew up with Floyd in the early '90s, boxing together. I guess, like, did you always think or always believe that he would be one of the best boxers of all time, like through his training regimen and everything like that? And, being with him all those years, did you feel that he was going to be special?
In the amateurs, I met him in '95. It just so happened to go into this tournament, and I was sitting next to his girlfriend, not knowing, and he got out of the ring and came and sat down, and that's where we met. We introduced ourselves to each other, and from that fight, I knew he was going to be special. I didn't know how special because I was just I was only boxing a year, maybe less than a year. So I didn't really know what I was looking at exactly, as I do now. But I could tell that he was very special. He was definitely one of the best fighters, if not the best fighter at that particular tournament. And but in '96, we were on an Olympic team together. I started to see just how special he was, because now you're all elite fighters. That was a regional tournament that we were at. So that's whoever is the best in their city and their state. And then they go to see who's the best in the region. So, you can be decent or you could be great, just so happen to be great, in a regional tournament. Then you head to the nationals and win, and you're like, oh, you're elite. So he won the nationals plenty of times, and I ended up being on the Olympic team. So I was like, and I'm watching all the Olympians spar. I was an alternate. So I'm watching all the Olympians train and fight and spar. And I'm like, yeah, Floyd is special. But Floyd used to let everybody know just how special he was on the Olympic team. He used to say, how much money he was going to have, what fighters he was going to fight and beat. He used to always say that he was going to fight and beat Oscar De La Hoya. This is '96 that he said that, and he ended up fighting him 11 years later. And one of the biggest pay-per-view events ever in the history of the sport. So he knew what he was going to do in life, and he actually did it. But yeah, that's when I knew he was special in '96.
So rest in peace to the great Roger Mayweather. That was Floyd's trainer throughout the majority of his career. How did you become connected with Floyd to be his head trainer moving forward with his exhibitions and potential comeback to professional boxing?
Well, what happened was when I started back training, AB was my first fighter in 2021, and I got him his first win. I assisted Coach Mike Stafford in getting him his first win in 5 years. And shortly after is when I received a FaceTime call from Floyd and one of his best friends, Sean Tyler, who is a best friend to me too, like a younger brother to me and Floyd. And it was a three-way call on FaceTime, and Floyd asked me where I was, and I was like, I'm in Miami, and I kind of felt like the conversation were going to lead to, something about boxing and training, and that's what the conversation led to. And I was like, I'm ready to go. Shoot, this is, I'm down. Because
Yeah.
he like a big brother to me. I lived with him from when I turned pro in 2000 to maybe almost 2002 before my brother passed and I went back home, for the funeral and stuff and stopped boxing. So I was always like his younger brother that he never had. He used to tell me, and I always looked up to him as a big brother. Once I moved in and he showed me so much love, and I could drive any car, and I had my own room in the house, big old mansion, and so we were brothers. And I was like, oh, I get my brother back, my big brother back. So it was perfect timing, and that's exactly how it started. He hasn't touched a drug his whole life, hasn't sipped a drip of alcohol his entire life. And that's hard to do with all the pressure that the world, society, your peers, place on you to do drugs and alcohol so, for me, I ended up starting to drink, and I dabbled and dabbled in some stuff, that I shouldn't know when I was younger. And to know how hard it is to stop doing that stuff or to not start doing it shows me just how strong Floyd was with the sacrifice. And it's so hard to say no. And there's people in the world that never touch anything just like Floyd, but there's very few. I think there's way more people that experiment or that dive right in and can't get out of it. So I think that's the number one thing that I give to Floyd over anybody, not just in boxing, but in any sport and in any career. Is his willingness to sacrifice the bad stuff so that he can reach his goals.
And there's been a lot of headlines the last couple of weeks, the last couple of days of Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor, the rematch. I saw Floyd offered him $150 million to fight. Do you think we'll see that fight in the next year or two?
Yeah, for sure. I think we'll see it before. I say before 7 months. I think it'd be shorter than even.
That's gonna be massive. That'd be huge again.
Yeah, for sure.
And when they fought back in 2017, Floyd stopped him in the 10th round. Do you think he gets the knockout even earlier if they run it back?
It all depends on how Floyd want to do it. He let Logan survive. He didn't want to kill him. He let Don Moore survive. Sometimes he can do what he wants. He's so good that he can do what he wants. He can have fun with a guy. He can get serious and get him out of there, depending on his mood. Yeah, I think he'll get him out of there sooner and move on to something bigger.
Do you kind of know, like when he was fighting Logan, like walking out, warming up in the back, that he was going to kind of toy with Logan and prolong the fight? Or did you guys plan to get that early stoppage?
We didn't plan on anything. Of course, me as a trainer, I love for the fighters to go in there and get it over with, because the less time I'm in the corner, the less stressed I am. We can get back to the sparkling grape soda, in the locker room and shake it up and spraying it everywhere. But yeah, so I always ask, and I don't care who's the opponent. He could be fighting his cousin, I want a knockout. That's just me. I'm just that coach. I'm that trainer. But because we work so hard, we put so much work in the gym and and in the roads and in the mountains and stuff, so that we're in shape to do it. To whoever get in the ring, with us. But yeah, no, there was no plan of a stoppage or anything like that. It was just to go out there and have fun and entertain the the people in attendance and the millions watching around the world.
And August 20th, we got Adrien Broner's big comeback. You guys have been working hard. You said you're about 3.5 weeks out from fight day. What can everyone expect to see in the ring from AB on August 20th?
AB is saying, I always say, I never do a prediction, but I always say that my fighters are going to have a beautiful performance. But Adrien is saying that he's going to get him out of there. So I would say, listen to AB. If he's saying he's going to get him out of there, he's going to get him out of there. That's not something that he says regularly, he's ready to make a big splash again. He just come back and got out of his losing streak with a win. He's on the winning side. And so now I think he's ready to step it up and start getting folks out of there. He said the can man is coming back, and he didn't say that last time, but he said it. He's saying it this time. So I think he's got a chip on his shoulder.
So is your guys' plan to run through this opponent on August 20th and then try to maybe fight again as soon as possible? Or what are you thinking?
No plan. Of course, you take the first task at hand, and you don't want to look past or pre-plan anything past that. But I would like for him to just get the win, get his hand raised, and no injuries, come out healthy, and take a couple days off, and then stay close to me because I'll be in camp with Claressa, finishing up her camp to go to UK and have her biggest victory. They say over in London. So I want him to stay in camp with me, stay real close to me, go over to London with me, watch the fights with me. Kind of. Because Floyd starts camp as well. I think we'll all be in camp in Miami in maybe a week or two. And, me, Floyd, AB, Claressa, Coach Mike, Coach John David Jackson, all together in a big old camp. And I just want him to stay around boxing. I don't really want him to drift off into the streets and get distracted again, because it's easy. I've been there myself and I know how easy it is. So I want him to just stay close to me so that I can keep a close eye on him, because we got good energy together. We vibe well, and we'll have fun, and we'll get the job done. And he'll be there to support Claressa and her win, and then Floyd and his in Japan. And I believe he's fighting in September. We haven't talked about it within the last couple of days, but so and those exhibitions are kind of iffy, with everything that's going on in the world. But that's what I would like for AB after this fight.
So as a trainer, would you prefer to have your athletes in separate camps, or do you like it when everyone's together? Like how you said, everyone's going to be gelling at the same time. Would you prefer that more often than not?
It's really only going to be combined because of, conflicting dates or dates are close to each other. So we got August 20th, September 10th, and then maybe middle of September, maybe towards the end. So, those guys got to prepare around the same time. So that's why it's going to be combined. But I would rather them be separate to where, because I only like training one fighter at a time. And that's before, I started getting big name fighters. I never did it like had a gym session where a lot of trainers do this. They have like 20, sometimes 20 fighters, and they're all in the gym at 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. Now, how are you going to dedicate personal time to 20 guys in 2 hours? That's like, do the math. Is you only getting a few minutes with each fighter. So I like to be, like I said, I don't like to miss 1 second of one heavy bag, speed bag, jump rope, sit-ups. I like to be right there, to push you if you need pushing, or to calm you down if you're going too hard or whatever. So the more stuff going on at the same time is more chaotic to me instead of relaxed and like focused. So I would rather it be separate. But sometimes you have to do what you have to do. And like in this situation we have right now with three of my fighters fighting, within a month of each other. So
who are some guys that you see in the gym or females that are kind of making their way up the ranks that you kind of want to spotlight? Do you think in the next couple like years to decade that they'll be the face of boxing, if there's anyone you can think of?
There's guys in the sport, but not guys that I like work with, or I'm just like right now my hands are full with the 4 I got. But there's guys in the sport like Shakur Stevenson, Cool Boy Steph, Fulton. You got
what do you think about Tank Davis? I love watching Tank Davis.
That family. Tank is he's already like the face of boxing, if you want to be honest.
Yeah.
He'll get more casual fans soon, but anybody that really watches boxing has to be a Tank fan, unless they favor somebody else that they see in the same weight class. But you almost have to be a Tank fan.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, he's one of the most humble fighters in the sport right now. He's one of the most like hardworking, and he delivers shows every time. I feel like he doesn't, he's not going for the decision. He's going for the knockout every time he fights. And he's from the DMV. Like, that's where I'm from as well. So supporting him.
Shout out to DMV.
Yeah, shout out to DMV. What do you think about him and Garcia? Do you think he gets a knockout there?
Great fight. I'm good friends with Ryan and Tank. That'll be a great fight. I wouldn't predict anything, but that'll be a great fight for the sport of boxing and for their careers, their legacies. And I see all those guys. I don't see all those guys remaining undefeated. The Devin Haney's, the Shakurs, the T.O.s, the Lomas, everybody around that weight class, anywhere from 130 to 140. Let's say 130, 135. I don't see those guys retiring undefeated. It's not a bad thing. It's a great thing, because they have such great fellow competitors right there in the vicinity of their weight division. So I see them all losing. And as like I said, it's not a bad thing, but that's a great thing for the sport, for the fans especially, and for their legacies. They might not agree with that now, but at the end, I'll be like, yeah, I'm glad I was, in that around those divisions at that particular time in the history of the sport.
Yeah, I feel like they're all so skilled that they can beat any one of them any given Saturday.
Exactly. It all depends on the A game and, whose defense is tighter and whose jab is faster. Is that much talent, like you say, around those divisions right now.
In boxing, I feel like there's like that resurgence the last couple of years. I feel like there's a lot more like big name fighters that are younger as well. Like, I mean, a lot of these guys that we're talking about now are like 23 to like 27. So the sport is looking bright, but I do want to ask you, what is your opinion on, this like quote unquote celebrity boxing between like YouTubers or Jake Paul, Logan Paul? Do you think that benefits the sport because it's bringing more eyes, or do you want to see them take that jump up in competition?
I think is great for the sport. Is more people watching the sport, is more people giving the sport a chance that normally wouldn't. They're like glued and like their favorite sports or something else, and they never would have thought about watching boxing. So I think it's great. Just for an example, I had the privilege of training Tyron Woodley, is my brother now, my fighter forever. And versus Jake Paul twice. And, being at the fights, typically boxing fights, when you're at the venues, I don't care who's fighting. It could be a Floyd fight. It could be a smaller fight. When the first, maybe if there's 10 fights on the card, usually everybody gets there like the last two fights. Usually you see empty seats until there's maybe 2 or 3 fights left. But when the Tyron fought Jake Paul both times, people came out and were at the very first fight. The stadium was packed from first fight to last fight. And, that's rare. It's like, you usually see empty seats. Sometimes you see the empty stadium, and there's like 2 people watching the first fight. But to see 20,000 people sitting down for a guy that is 1-0 or he's making his debut, that's special. And that's only because we're bringing these new people into the sport that is their first time. They're having their first experiences with the sport and they're loving it. And then they're, buying beer and popcorn and T-shirts and hats and they're having fun. They're going crazy. Like, oh my God, I would have been did this, if it wasn't for Jake or Logan or whoever the fighter is. But I think it's great for the sport, man. And I'm pretty sure the promoters think the same, because in those situations, you make so much money off of tickets, but you're making so much more money off of popcorn, pretzels,
the concessions and everything,
T-shirts, beers, because people are there all that time, because fights usually go from, sometimes 3 p.m. to, 10 p.m. So 7 hours of beers and popcorns and T-shirts. So I'm pretty sure the promoters are loving it as well.
So how did you get connected with Tyron Woodley to be his head coach? Was that something Floyd set up, or how did that come about?
It was after Floyd's fight, the Logan fight. We fought in Miami. And I live in Miami, so I didn't have to fly home or anything like that. I just had to drive home and then like woo, like we
That's
did
nice.
it.
That's
And
sweet.
right, and then like I could have went on vacation anywhere in the world, and I just so happened to stay home and chill. And I got a phone call. If I was anywhere on vacation, it wouldn't happen. But I got a phone call. Floyd said, "Where you at?" I said, "I'm in Miami." He said, "Okay, come to the gym." Gave me the address. I came to the gym, and he was there with Tyron, and we were watching him hit the bag, and I put my mitts on, and we were critiquing some stuff, and I was like, yeah, we could. Tyron is good, he has a great solid foundation in boxing, and me and Floyd can make him better, and so the vibes were so good. His mom was there, Mama Willie, shout out to them. That's like family now. His sisters were there, a few of his sisters. He had a lot of them, and shout out to them as well. And the whole vibe was family oriented, and that's what I'm all about. If I feel like welcoming, or people are approachable, I'm willing to be all in. And after that day, we started training. We trained one more time, I think, with Floyd, and then Tyron pulled me in like, yeah, I want this guy to be my trainer.
And he was one of the best UFC champions to ever, be a part of the sport. Was it kind of hard? You said he had a good foundation, but was it kind of hard to, sharpen some of his boxing skills, or was he just like already, kind of what you were looking for?
It wasn't hard. Like I say, I'm one of those guys. I love a challenge. I don't believe in anything being impossible. I honestly believe I can still take Tyron and make him become a world champion in the sport of boxing in a short amount of time. After his next fights and getting going. But no, it wasn't hard at all. And what surprised me about Tyron is that he had I ain't gonna say Floyd-like defense, but he has great defense, man. And it's hard for guys to land shots on him. And he's a counterpuncher, and it was so much that I was impressed by. Like, oh my God, this is gonna be a breeze for me, even though I like challenges. But we're gonna tighten him up on a lot of things. We're gonna he knew everything, but we just had to tweak little things, me and Floyd, and to get him up to speed to be ready for a huge stage like that he was on. Fighting 8 rounds his first fight. Most guys go out and fight 4 rounds. Most guys amateur and they fight 3 rounds, but he jumped straight into an 8-round fight in which he was in 15-round shape for. That's hard to do for anybody, and so it wasn't much. It wasn't too much of a challenge to get him to where we had him.
So do you want to, does he have another fight lined up that you guys are looking at to come back?
Not right away, but he wants to do two things this year. And I can't say, I got to let him say it, but some special stuff he wants to do this year, starting with a boxing fight.
I look forward to that, man. And thank you very much for your time. But the last question that I have for you, and I always ask my guests at the end of the show, what's one piece of advice that you would just give to everyone watching or listening? And it could be any facet of advice.
I would like to say that people should try to look at their life as if it's a movie. And you're in a scene right now, and there's a way that you can make or create your next scenes to be what you want them to be, but there's work you have to put in, and there's things that you might have to sacrifice or let go of in order for that next scene to be how you want it to be. So I always talk to my fighters like this, and Tyron, and tell you best, like, man, I love it when he talks that movie stuff, because you're a star in your own movie, but you're also a producer, director. So create your movie and make it something that you will want to see, when you're 90 years old, and you can like push play on the DVD, and you're like, oh man, I love every part of this from this point where I started to create my own movie.
Man, I love that. I mean, that is inspiring. I remember hearing Tyron say that in the build up to the Jake Paul fights, that, you're the producer, director, and everything like that. And man, I really appreciate your time, GT. Everyone scroll down below. Check out GT on Instagram at GT_the_great_. I'll have it linked below. And that's your brand too, with your the logo on your hat, right?
Yeah, I'm sponsored by these guys. Yep.
Nice. Well, is there a website people can buy some merch at, or? Where can people
Not
find you?
yet, not yet. They're gonna let me announce it as soon as they're ready to kick it full gear.
Okay. Hey, you're gonna have to let me know when that happens, and
Sure.
I'll try to plug it as best as I can for you. Thank you very much for your time, GT. It was a pleasure having you on.
Thank you, Mike, for considering me. Anytime you want to do this, we can do it. We can do it every week if you want. Just hit
Awesome,
me.
man. Hey, I appreciate that. And good luck on every fight that you're going to be training going forward with AB, with Floyd's come back, Claressa. I really can't wait to keep up and watch you guys keep raising the bar every time.
Appreciate it, brother. Thanks for the support.
Of course. All right, guys. Today was Tuesday, July 26, 2022, episode 84 of the Michael Maher Show. I was joined by GT, Gerald Tucker, former professional undefeated boxer and current trainer for Floyd Mayweather, Claressa Shields, Adrien Broner, and Tyron Woodley. I'm your host of the show, Michael Maher, and I'll see everyone next week.